The movie Blue Velvet was a mystery thriller that starred Kyle MacLachlan, Isabella Rossellini, Dennis Hopper, and Laura Dern. When it was released in 1986, it received a very polarizing reception. The story follows a man returning home to visit his father, who's in the hospital. And while in his idyllic small town, Jeffrey Beaumont stumbles upon a human ear he finds in a field. With a police detective and department that's unwilling to investigate, Jeffrey teams up with Sandy, and they decide to do their own investigation. And this leads them to discovering a dark underworld that exists, and Jeffrey is drawn into it by a nightclub singer named Dorothy Vallens, who just so happens to be involved with a violent and evil man. Before Isabella Rossellini was cast as Dorothy Vallens in Blue Velvet, David Lynch was trying to convince Helen Mirren to take the role. One day, while dining at a New York City restaurant, Lynch was introduced to Rossellini, and the two struck up a conversation in which Lynch conveyed his desire to cast Mirren in his newest movie. 2 days later, Lynch sent a letter to Rossellini, asking her to read for the film. Shortly afterward, the pair would also start dating each other. Isabella Rossellini claimed that during the initial filming of the ritualistic assault scene, David Lynch couldn't stop laughing off-screen at the weirdness of it all. Though she was baffled as to why he was laughing at the time, Rossellini says that to this day, she herself laughs uncontrollably every time she watches that particular scene. She also happened to actually be naked under her velvet robe when she did the scene, a fact that her partner Dennis Hopper was not aware of until the cameras started rolling. After Blue Velvet was released, there were many unhappy and disgusted people. Isabella Rossellini's talent agency detested the movie so much they dropped her after seeing it. She was also contacted by the nuns that taught her in high school. They were so troubled by it, they felt the need to tell Rossellini that they were praying for her. Kyle MacLachlan became a David Lynch regular with this film, having appeared previously in Dune and later in Twin Peaks. Laura Dern would also go on to work with Lynch on Wild at Heart and Inland Empire. MacLachlan and Dern would not work together again until over 30 years later, when Lynch cast Dern in the long-awaited third season of Twin Peaks. The prosthetic ear found by Kyle MacLachlan's character at the beginning of the film has remained in the possession of its creator and makeup supervisor, Jeff Goodwin, despite numerous claims to the contrary. The ear was originally modeled from Goodwin's own ear. That is until Lynch remarked that it looked like a child's ear, so they recast it from the ear of the producer, Fred Caruso. Throughout the film, the violent drug dealer Frank, played by Dennis Hopper, is inhaling an unknown gas that splits his personality. This gas was initially supposed to be helium, but after Dennis Hopper's voice sounded comic rather than scary, they changed it. What they changed it to is unknown. However, Hopper told Lynch he thought that Frank should be high on amyl nitrate, which dilates blood vessels and lowers blood pressure. While on the set of Blue Velvet, Dennis Hopper got a kick out of the fact that David Lynch would never use the F-word himself. He did, however, fill the script with F-bombs, but if he was referring to a line of dialogue that used the word, he'd simply point to the page and refer to it as that word. David Lynch had never seen any of Laura Dern's previous films. Isabella Rossellini, who had seen her play a blind girl in the movie Mask, was so convinced by her performance that she wondered why Lynch had cast a blind girl in the role. For her role in Blue Velvet, Dern didn't even have to audition. All Lynch needed was their initial encounter, in which he found her demeanor to be perfect for the role. After the initial edit, Blue Velvet was a 4-hour movie, and so Lynch had to cut it down to 1 hour and 59 minutes to make the studio happy. Over 50 minutes of the lost footage was found and included in the Blu-ray release, but that leaves 40 to 60 minutes still missing. Many of Lynch's films make reference to Abraham Lincoln's assassination, but perhaps none more obvious than Blue Velvet. Not only is the antagonist of the film named Frank Booth, which is the same last name as Lincoln's killer, but in order for Jeffrey to explore the other side of his town, he also has to cross over a street named for the president himself. David Lynch just happened to be a big fan of the Bob's Big Boy chain in California. He was so obsessed with the milkshakes that he would go there every day at 2:30 to have one. This lasted for 7 years, and during his time there, he would write down ideas on the napkins. While casting Blue Velvet, he even had Kyle MacLachlan and Laura Dern meet him there for their first introductions. On top of the song that the movie gets its name, Blue Velvet also prominently features Roy Orbison's In Dreams. Orbison initially refused to let the filmmakers use the song, so David Lynch found a way to legally use it without Orbison's permission. Orbison didn't find out that his song was used in the film until he caught it at a movie theater in California after its release. Ironically, the movie ended up reviving Orbison's career, and he eventually shot a video for the song with Lynch that used footage from the movie. Like many of Lynch's films, they are inspired by art. This one in particular was inspired by the 1963 Bobby Vinton cover of Blue Velvet. According to Lynch himself, though he doesn't like that type of music, when he first heard it, the mysteriousness of the song made him drift into thinking about what lies beneath a small-town neighborhood. Blue Velvet is the film that brought Laura Dern and David Lynch together, but Lynch's first choice for the film was actually Molly Ringwald. Ringwald never even got to read the script, as her mother found the script so offensive, she refused to pass it on to her daughter. David Lynch has said that Dorothy's nude scene, where she is dropped off on Jeffrey's porch and then walks naked to safety, was inspired by a childhood memory of his, when he and his brother were walking home from school. They came across a dazed, naked woman walking down the street. Lynch has said that she was crying, which made him cry too, and it left a profound impression on him. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, and please consider subscribing and sharing Recollection Road Entertainment with someone you know. If you enjoyed this video, consider watching this playlist. As always, thank you so much for watching.